Testing, testing. Is that working? Can you hear? Testing, testing. Oh, it's working now. Okay. Hi everyone. We were going to start at 5 o'clock, but we realise that there's a couple of workshops that are still operating, so we're going to give them about five or so minutes, okay? And then we'll start.
Two mics down there. I'm going to ask them if those mics.
I thought I was going to be up here by myself.
You gotta kick me on the foot, okay? Tell me this is what you need.
Yeah.
Maybe we can just chat now.
Yeah.
So chat, we
Okay.
always have a few introduction slides.
Uh-huh.
On the intro slide, I'll have Maureen start.
Okay.
And then there'll be a process slide where I kind of very briefly explain what's going on.
Okay.
And then there'll be a live demonstration of actually how to input the comment on the website.
Because
Then
there's a lot
I'll
of
go
new
to
ones.
The, timeline. And then I think there'll be a little bit about the drafting committee. So that I can probably either give to Maureen, if you can talk a little bit about it, whichever way you like. And then the last bit is the questions input and the links.
We actually
We kind of do.
but we're volunteers for you. Yeah.
For the drafting committee, maybe when I pass it to you to talk about the
Yeah, okay.
And then after all that, we'll open up the floor, and there's 2 mics in the center of the.
Okay. I can do the screening of the questions.
That was really good.
Okay.
Just jot down. We're going to actually ask them to put it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
If it's
encourage
missing,
them to
yeah.
put it in.
Okay.
And lastly, maybe I don't know where you want me to explain at the end or in the beginning that this is going to be a workshop at the Global IGF. So this is they really do have a good. Do you, I'll let you mention
I'll
that.
mention it, but you
Perfect.
really.
And I can drive it home at the very end, kind of. I'll when we. Chat, do you want some more? This is good. It should be all.
I have water here which I should drink before I open a bit.
Okay. For you. Yeah.
This is so hard.
Okay, I think we might make a start now. We're starting to get a nice little crowd gathering here. Thank you very much, and welcome to everyone here. I do realise that you're sort of like staying behind after the end of the program as such, and I guess it's I do have to thank you for coming at this hour to take part in what is the third compilation of the APrIGF 2017 synthesis document. I'll just wait till these guys come in. Oh, it's the young ones. That's good. Yes, it is nice to see that the whole class has come in. Thank you very much. It's really great to have you all here. I guess it's, an occupational hazard for us that our session can't start until the rest of the program has actually finished, because we're relying on the content, your impressions and your views and opinions of the content that you've actually sort of like been hearing and reacting to, that we need to get feedback on for this particular document. Just to give an introduction for those of you who may not have been involved in the construction of the synthesis document before, it apparently started as a germ of an idea during an MSG meeting at the APrIGF meeting in New Delhi in 2014. And so that in 2015, at the meeting in Macau, they developed the synthesis document as a type of experiment to see what could result from it and what value it might bring to recording the views of the Asia-Pacific region. And it was such a resounding success that it was repeated last year, and this is when Chat and I became involved in my first synthesis document, and we enjoyed it so much. Here we are. But I think that what we didn't realise after we'd had the town hall sessions and we'd had lots of input from the community, that in fact the job doesn't finish here. We spent nearly 2 months. It was around about 2 months of teleconferences and emails and a magnificent crew of people who were actually at the conference, who actually helped us reconstruct all the comments and inputs that were made into the document, and we reformed it into something that Jennifer was able to take to the that, as Jenny will explain later, it's actually going to be this year part of a workshop at the Global IGF in Geneva. And I think that one of the really, really important things about this document is that it actually reflects the views and opinions of the people who attend this particular conference. It's really important that it is bottom up, that it, that people's views as they come forward, and we're going to be asking you very shortly to line up behind the mics and to tell us what was on top for you, from the meeting, and what sort of contributions you would make to a document that reflects the views of the people at the participants at this conference. At this time, I'd like to pass on to Jennifer, who's just been an integral part of this whole process, and she's sort of like the driver. She sort of like tells us what we've got to do, but she's also a very staunch motivator, and she's very passionate about this. But she's going to sort of like show you what the document may look like, and she's going to also, for those who haven't participated in the actual contribution process, the public comment, we'd like to demonstrate this so that you can't say that you don't know how to do it. But I think that it will be really important that everybody is aware of how they can actually have their voice heard in this document. So, all yours.
Thank you so much, Maureen. My name is Jennifer Chung, and I work for the APrIGF Secretariat. Hello? Okay, now I can be heard. Thank you very much, Maureen, for that wonderful introduction. My name is Jennifer Chung. I am part of the APrIGF Secretariat team supporting on the synthesis document. So, a little bit about the process so far. We had a first open input period that was about 2 weeks and lasted from the 6th to the 19th of July. The general input was solicited for the 4 sub-themes derived from the accepted workshops this year, and you can see the 4 themes on the slides there. We did receive some comments, some very passionate comments about certain topics, but we do definitely want a lot more comments and a lot more input from everybody here, as well as all those very keen people that are joining us remotely. Draft 0 is currently open for commenting throughout APrIGF 2017 in Bangkok. So it's going to be open from now to the end of the meeting, and you can actually go into this commenting platform while you're even in a session. When you're hearing something that you think, oh, this is a really key issue, this should be in this document, please just go there and jot it down before you forget this great germ of an idea or this great comment or this great discussion that you're having throughout the conference. So with that, I'll show you a little bit about the mechanics of the commenting platform if you're not already familiar. As you can see here, this is the open platform for, hold on one second. Okay, this is the open comment platform for the synthesis document. Each paragraph has a paragraph number, and next to it there is a little icon with a plus sign that will allow you to put a comment in. For example, if I'm going to test a comment here on this heading, I click there, you input your name, your email, and your comment, and that's just that simple. You can do that for all and any of the paragraphs you see in this document, and the purpose is mainly to allow the drafting committee, which we will explain later, to take these comments and input and synthesize all these comments into the synthesis document for this year. So here's a brief timeline of the process. We're currently in, you can see the red here, we're currently in the Town Hall session 1. We will have another Town Hall session tomorrow at the end of the day, and at the closing plenary there will be some comments, and also the way forward will be explained on how the synthesis document will look like. On August 11th, there will be a draft 1, which is going to be the document as synthesized with all the input and comments we received during the conference and also after the conference, because we know some people might need a little more time to think about what they've heard here and think about how they want it reflected in the document. On August 16th, we will have a webinar 2. So this webinar will be at the start of the public comment 2 to explain to everyone what the synthesis document might look like, what the drafting committee will do. And at the end of the public comment 2, we will have a draft 2 for finalization, and we hope to publish the document on September the 13th. So besides what I showed you a little earlier about commenting on the commenting platform on the website, you can also join the drafting committee. I will let Maureen tell you a little bit more about this, but this is an open and voluntary group. It is open to everybody in the community to participate, and maybe Maureen can say a little bit more about what they're doing.
Not much more. Okay, one of the things that we have actually asked for is volunteers. You'll notice that in the program, because the document is actually going to reflect the categories that our workshops have actually been divided into, okay? And you will notice if you've had a look at your program, there's the different coloured sections, and the workshops are in those colours. And so we're actually looking at getting volunteers who may want to look at the different sections, the categories, which I'm just going to be looking at. Oh, right. Oh, yeah, okay. That's right, you're going to go over that one. Jen's just going to go over that because she's got it on a slide.
I'll go back to the slide where it shows the sub-themes. Here it is. So the drafting committee is currently soliciting volunteers to kind of head the 4 sub-themes. The first one is access, empowerment, and diversity. The second is security, cybersecurity, privacy, and safer internet. The third is digital economy and enabling innovations. And the fourth is human rights and the internet.
And I think too that, you know, like these 4 themes are all sort of like categorized under the theme of our APrIGF this year, of course, which is ensuring an inclusive and sustainable development in Asia Pacific. And so that's the theme. These are the categories. So, you know, while you're presenting your intervention, it would be really handy if you can sort of like highlight to us which one of those categories. Oh, first of all, please give your name so we can write you down and assign you to a group. And also that your intervention relates to a particular category would be really handy for us. Okay, so is there, yeah, we'd like to open up the floor if anyone would like to start making some comments. We'll be taking note. Oh, of course.
I would like to try to be the first. I have 2 comments. The first comment is, this is Guo Wei-Wu from Taiwan. And the first comment is, I will suggest to inform all the workshop coordinator have to leave certain enough time for the floor to ask a question or making a comment. Some of the workshop, the presentation just too long, and they don't leave any time for the people to make comment or questions. So I think maybe this we can, before that, to inform the coordinator. This is the first comment in general. The second comment I'd like to make is, I think in the IGF or in all the internet events, we are continuing pushing into the next billion, next billion, next billions. We have an assumption for those of the people is not get on the net, they have ability or possibility or willing to be convert and learning the skill to get into the cyberspace with us like we are doing today. They say this way, if there is a 50 million of 100 million or 200 million of the people, they just cannot be converted or to be trained and good enough to using the new devices get onto the cyberspace. Or they don't want it. Does that mean we are going to abandon them? I don't think so, because they still, no matter they want to using the new technology or not, they are human beings. We can abandon them. So in that case, how we can deal with them? Because at this part, in many of the internet meetings, whatever, the IGF for 17 years, we never discuss about this issue. We just are talking about, we looking for the next billion. We're talking about next billion. And some people in the 15 million, they just don't want it. So I think that's my second comment.
Thank you, Kawai. Yes, I will pass that message on about the workshops being a little bit lengthy and not allowing you time to give your intervention or questions. Program committee. And yes, if you could summarise your comment and put it onto the thing, that would be awesome. Thank you very much. In the section on access. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, that'd be great. Do we have anyone else want to? Just line up. That's. It'd be great. It'd be great if we had a line.
Oh, okay. Basically, well, probably most of you know me.
Can you just give us your name, please?
Oh, Visharad, yeah. So, I mean, we've been hearing about disability and the need for persons with disability to have access to the internet. But, of course, what can be seen as a disability, I mean, in terms of physical features, lack of hands or eyesight, etc. But what about disability in terms of, people suffering from poor mental health? It could be at any age, and for example, depression can lead to cognitive disability. So I was wondering, is there any way we can prevent such people being exploited by social media, businesses via the internet? And for example, marketing of medication is probably one example I can think of.
Great. Put that into an intervention. Put it online. Great. Anything? Anju, got anything?
Andrew?
Climate change, Pacific Island.
Oh, Paul.
Paul.
To the rescue.
I might as well form a queue. Paul Wilson here. Just as a general comment, I really think this has been a very valuable experiment, if it is still an experiment, for the last 2 years of APrIGF, and it's been really excellent to see it continue here. It was great to see the first effort and then the improvements that were made last time. And I think one of the great things that was done last time was to really clearly link the outcome document, the synthesis document, with what happened during the event, because after all, this is not exactly an open forum to capture everything that might be said in this room. It's really about bringing together things that happen through the whole event. And so one of the very useful things was just the references in the last document, the references of all of the substantive points that were made back to the sessions where they were made. So someone who could read that document, they could see something that was important or interesting to them, they could go back to the actual archive of the session and understand what was said and learn more about it. And that's also part of the kind of audit trail of bringing the discussions of the document of the week through into this document, making it more transparent and more accessible as well. So I hope that's going to happen again. And I just would like to encourage all who are here to please think about what went on during the day today, but also when we come back for the next sessions, to think about what's gone on that's been most meaningful and most clear and impactful in what's happened during APrIGF, so that these things can go into the document, so that we can see where they came from and then pass them on into the rest of the IGF process. Because after all, this is about the APrIGF being part of something that's happening globally, and it's about this region having our say and bringing our points of view out and having them recognised and I hope listened to in the rest of the IGF processes. So I hope the line will grow behind Nigel here, and we've because we've obviously got a bit more time to reflect on today. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Jen will respond after Nigel's had his say.
Yes, thank you very much. It's a real Nigel Hickson ICANN. It's a pleasure to be here. And ICANN meetings, we have this, as you know, we have a queue, but ICANN staff are not exactly encouraged to say things at ICANN meetings. So not that that's, you know, that's... no, probably not. But no, this is my first Asia-Pacific regional IGF, and it really is a pleasure to be here. And I think, I mean, from my perspective, that the synthesis document is a really excellent idea, because and the way you have it in this dynamic sense, capturing workshops as they go on, the ability of people to put in ideas, I think is marvelous. I mean, it obviously puts extra onus on the editing of the document, but I think it's really worthwhile. The only thing I wondered at the front is whether you, and perhaps you do this anyway, whether you have a paragraph on the sort of, you know, on how many people, you know, attended, how many countries, etc. But I'm sure you do that. And unfortunately, I won't be here in your town hall session tomorrow, but I think it's been a really excellent start. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Nigel. Yep.
Hello, it's Ali Hussain from Pakistan. I have a little comment regarding all the internet government learning and the journey. It's my first APrIGF physically face-to-face, and I want to emphasize that when we talk about internet governance and connecting the next billions and educating the people and making them online, we also need to educate them about the fair use and the negative impacts of the internet, like the connectivity technology. Like for now, after this technological revolution, the social context, physical context within the family or within the social circle, the dynamics has changed from. But we as a human being are more comfortable with the face-to-face and the more like hangout sort of scenario. But our like mostly the young age, it's not aware of the side the negative aspects of reducing the physical contacts, and especially within the close relatives and the family members, it's being a really issue which also leads to depression or something very serious issues. So we should also like emphasize on the fair use of the technology. At the same time, we encourage them to use them.
Thank you, Ali. And it'd be really good if you write that intervention up, because we can actually sort of like meld it in with Kauai's statement too.
Yeah,
Great.
sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Jen, Jen's just going to respond to Paul and Nigel.
So, hello? Okay, I can be heard. So this is Jennifer Chung from the Secretariat. Just responding quickly to Paul and Nigel. Yes, we are definitely planning on doing the reference back to each and every workshop where the comments and input have been discussed and stated. And Nigel's question about whether we're capturing how many people attended and what kind of sessions, we're definitely doing that as well. We do have a conference report that is created after each APrIGF, and starting from last year, we included that as an appendix to the synthesis document. So all the logistics of the gender diversity, diversity of regions, and also economies, all of that will be captured for each panel, each session, each workshop. So that's a lot of data that we definitely do capture and do include with the synthesis document. Just wanted to scroll quickly through the document if people haven't taken a look at it yet. There are a number of paragraphs that explain at the very beginning. You can see there's the background of what it is, and then there's the purpose, the introduction of how it came to be, and then we get into the meat of the issues. We have the 4 sub-themes as we have talked about earlier, and this text we see here, this is basically placeholder text that has been derived from the workshops that were accepted and the workshops that you are attending right now. So each of these links these little footnote references are references to the workshops you're currently attending. So if you're going to a workshop about e-governance and you think about, you know, is this really what is being discussed in the workshop? You can actually go and click on this paragraph and put your thoughts in. If you think that, oh, this is a great issue that we really need to expand more on, put your text here, put your thoughts here, and we will then synthesize the document accordingly. As I scroll down a little further, you can see the second sub-theme. There's security, cybersecurity, privacy, and safer internet. The same thing is going to happen here. You'll see these little links. I'm going to click on one just to show you what it looks like. I'm going to click on this one. And it brings you down to all the footnotes down here that give you the detail of each and every workshop and panel. So when you're in these workshops and you're listening to something, or you're making a statement, or you're making interventions that you think are very key, please do and go to this online commenting platform and put in your thoughts. One thing I wanted to actually point out and flag is I'm really happy to see that there's already a comment from one of our participants on this actual platform. So we do have one. Let's hope to see a lot more. I know that there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be thinking about and dwelling on what they've heard today. But please do think about it, dwell on it, just put it in, and we can then synthesize all these comments together. So this document can really reflect what has been discussed here and can really reflect what is important to our community.
And just to add, just in the process of last year, there were really like many comments, and one of the exciting jobs of the volunteers, who I hope will, you know, come in droves around the drafting, is to look at this text, you know, let's say, and some of them might not, at the first glance, you know, they might actually contradict each other, but in the end, if you have a group of people who are looking at it, it's also a process of actually discussing the content, and it works out in the end, no, that it does reflect. So we sort of like made sure that it reflects diversity around issues. But at the same time, it also builds on what was there before. So I also like to invite you to sort of review or scan what we had before. The synthesis document that we had before will give you an idea of what kinds of things, you know, what kinds of concepts or issues can breaks it to the synthesis document.
Hi, I'm Joyce from ICANN. I just want to make a comment to propose maybe an additional section on talking about capacity building in internet governance. So since the theme this time is on talking about sustainable development, I think we should have one entire section that's just dedicated to the activities around capacity building, such as the Newcomers Capacity Day, or encouraging APAC participation in IG issues. Thanks.
Nice one.
Definitely take that on board.
Just a quick, I guess, logistical comment from the Secretariat. That's a really great idea that I hope everybody will also think about if they want other topics to be included that's not currently reflected on this document. How you can do it is I would really just try to leave it as a comment on the very first paragraph. If you want a new section, like what Joyce mentioned, if you want capacity building, click on the very first paragraph. It's just called background. So we'll know, we can keep track of any additional sections that people want to see in the document. So I'm just going to do that for you, Joyce.
Edmund.
Hello, Edmund Chung from .Asia. I wasn't sure whether we're jumping into the substance of this document for comments. Okay, good. So looking at the privacy section, and there was, I just want to bring up one of the things that Malavika mentioned. I don't know whether she's in the room or not. If so, I hope she would come to the mic and add to this. One of the things that's really important, I think, that she mentioned is about the balance between privacy and security. The key aspect of what data are actually being retained, or you know, and how data is being how should I say, what is that, destroyed, or what's the right word? How data is being erased after it's being, it have served its purpose, and that process itself is perhaps one of the most important thing, because once you keep up piles of data, then it becomes a huge honeypot, and people, that's the reason why people want to get that data in the first place. So I'm not sure exact the wording, but at least this is a comment, and I think that discussion that I think Malavika brought up should be included here somewhere.
I think what you're saying, Edmund, is around how long the data should be retained, and that should be part of the privacy condition. So you collect data for a purpose, and then you retain it for a specific period of time. It doesn't have to be like forever, in that data.
Right.
Good point.
Hi, so I'm Janelle. So I just like to comment about I scanned the document, but I wasn't able to see any input about the PWDs. I think it was raised many times during this conference that we should consider PWDs in our, one of the issues that they cannot access internet. Even if we place this document online, I doubt that they can read it. So, yeah, so I think probably we can include another section for the PWDs and accessibilities. Yeah, I don't know how, but I think they have their technology. I don't know how we can marry their technology plus this document so that we can also include them in our discussion. That's all.
Put that into the background section. Just add it so that we don't forget it, please.
Adil from Pakistan. Actually, I was just going through the document. I haven't read it through, but just a quick comment. If you go to the number 10th, it is access, empowerment, and diversity. And number 19, it's internet blocks. So I think it's kind of a repetition. If you make number 1 reliable access, you don't need point number 19 here. It will be automatically covered in the number 1. If you make access reliable access, the point number 19 internet blocks will be automatically covered in there. So we do not need a separate section for that. That's what I think. Well, I'll go through that, I'll read them, and I'll comment on that again, but that's, I think, when I look at that in the first place.
Yeah, I think it's fine to have those comments, and then when we look at all the different, obviously, you'll have other comments, and there might be, what we found last year is that sometimes there's like similar comments, or or other people comment on other people's comment, which is also fine, because then there's a conversation going on, and there could be differences of opinion or building up on each other's comment. So that's also fine. And then when we look at it after the first commenting period, then we'll see what makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, please put it in.
Jim, do you want to comment on that? Do you want to comment on that? Yeah, I think that last year when we were doing it, we had a sort of like a heading as we have here, and we developed subheadings. So I think that that's probably how it goes. But it's very reliant on the types of comments that come from everybody, and it's sort of like done cumulatively.
Go, Edmund.
Go ahead.
It's Edmund again, in the hopes of sparking a little bit more discussion. Building on what Joyce was saying in terms of capacity building, we have a lot of our youth here, and you've just gone through a little bit of the capacity building. What do you want to see in that, and what do you want us what do we want to tell the world about how to engage, how to do the capacity building, and how to engage the youth? What worked for you and what didn't work for you could also be included in this statement. That would, I think that would add a lot of substance to the document itself. So I'd like to invite those who are going through that process to come and tell us what worked, what didn't work, and what we should say about that capacity building for youth.
There we go. There's the challenge. Has anyone got any ideas? What do you want for capacity building?
What works? You're thinking about it.
Oh,
Well, I think Ash wants to speak. Let's give him the mic. I don't think it'll reach, eh?
might not reach.
Yeah, he's very good.
Thank you very much. Firstly, thank you very much to everybody who are talking about the rights of persons with disability. And I would like to request two things, very important point. One is like the system, whatever you have developed, we need to make it more accessible. Then we could give our input in the system without any barrier. And I can check it tonight, is it accessible or not? And accessibility means not only for the visual impaired people. There was a questions like there's a language also need to be more friendly, because if you use a very complicated language, then many people will not able to understand the document. Another point is that there is in this century, in 21st century, there is a human rights treaty. Only one human rights treaty was adopted by the UN General Assembly, that is the UN Convention of Rights of Persons with Disabilities. So we could follow that principle during drafting this synthesis document. And also there is a WSS document also we can consider when we are drafting the synthesis document. Thank you very much.
thank you, Vashka. Very important. Winston.
That's right, it's on. Okay, well, since I'm holding it, I'll sit down and be comfortable. On just a comment on what the previous speaker said about complicated language. It relates to something I was thinking about before but hesitated to actually say, but maybe I'll say it now. The document that we see, and first of all, following up comments by Paul and Nigel and other people, I thoroughly agree that this is a brilliant way of controlling, keeping a track of the discussions through the whole APrIGF. And I think it should be just accepted as the way we do it from now on. It's really a good mechanism. However, the process of consultation and drawing in comments from all around the region like this has because it is a fairly formal process, and because it is edited and recorded by people who have knowledge about the issues, high-level knowledge, it is tending to look like a sort of UN document without daring to say its name. You know, it looks like a UN document. And that relates to the previous speaker's comment about complicated language. It is formal language. I wouldn't say it's bureaucratic language, but it is formal. It needs to be formal because it is concepts and ideas expressed by people with high-level training and long experience in the law, in academia, in government, in industry, and so on. I don't know whether that's a problem. I think it's probably inevitable, but it relates to, it's something you need to take into account when dealing with capacity building, because it's something you need to explain to the youth delegation, that this is not just a forum where you can express ideas, chuck ideas out there into the air and just let them float. I mean, ideas have consequences. They need to relate to the people who said them, and they need to be attached to some sector of the MSG process. They need ideas have an origin, and it's useful for us all to know the origin of the ideas, who said them, who expressed them, what credentials those people may have for expressing those ideas. You know, a document like this that looks like a UN document needs to explain, dare I say it, the credentials of the sectors of the people who expressed the ideas. I mean, I came here, I'm wearing two hats in a sense. I'm wearing a civil society hat from the information library sector, but I also am a public servant, a government official of one country in the region, and but I don't speak for them, but I do invisibly wear that hat as well. So any comments I make here would be in my private capacity, my civil society capacity, as somebody who believes in the social and economic and cultural benefits of open access to information, for example. But that just underlines the point that the credentials of the sectors contributing to the synthesis document should perhaps be made explicit somewhere at the end in some sort of annex, perhaps. Just an idea. Okay, sorry, I've spoken too long, but I'll leave it to you now.
No, that's fair enough, Winston. I think, you know, like, I mean, we have said that the target audience eventually is going to be global IGF, but then again, you know, like, it's not just going to the UN. It's not just going to the UN people. It's going to people like us. So, you know, we do have to be mindful that it's got to be understood by everyone. It's got to be user friendly. Hong.
Oh, okay. I'm
oh, you're not going to stand up.
Oh, no. All right. I made the comment through the system, but I have another comment. Is on the general structure of the documents. I don't know where to place it in these paragraphs, so I presented orally. Where we look at the substance of the documents, there are currently 4 sections. I'm aware that there's Section 2 and Section 4 are closely related. Actually, I raised this issue at the drafting committee, but that was very early stage. Right, I guess it's now the time for us to discuss whether to change the sequence or to edit it. Right, and the Section 2 involves security and the privacy, and Section 4 is on human rights and internet. Well, I'm well aware that security, safety, and privacy, and this is closely related to human rights issues. And especially, I see the right to be forgotten, and under the EU GDPR, that's exactly a component in privacy rights, is actually included in Section 4 rather than Section 2. So what I'm suggesting, probably we've moved these 2. If we want to maintain these 2 sections, we place them back to back and move Section 3, that's on digital economy, to the very end. I don't think digital economy is not important, actually just the opposite. Digital economy is very important for Asia Pacific, and we have special strengths on that. And I strongly believe we got to emphasize at IGF that we have very successful digital economy in this region, and it could be placed at very end. I don't know what is the thinking to put human right at very back, just because human right is very important, so it should be used at the ending part. It is important. We don't have to place human right at very ending part. Well, probably you have some special thinking about the sequence, but yes, okay.
No, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Hong. I think that one of the things that we will do, as we did last year, is that our headings became quite flexible. And so that we adapted according to the information that we actually got from the participants. So, you know, it's actually quite fluid. So at this very, very early stage, you know, we'll probably, you know, put things into the things, and as contributions are made and we sort of like start synthesizing, you know, that it's going to become more obvious that some of the titles that we have may not be the most relevant and that they may need to be reworded.
Yeah, I think at the moment it's based on the sub-themes. But I agree, it might be that we break it up into smaller pieces, and we could have what you call a crosscut, like human rights can be a framework, you know, around that, or some, you know, that also, if people feel that there are concepts or frameworks that can be right above. That might also be useful. And then you then have like specific issues, like critical issues are in the region. That could also be the way out of it.
Hi, my name is Millie, and I'm an APrIGF fellow. So in response to Edmund, I'm a direct beneficiary of the capacity building initiatives. And I mean, it's a great opportunity, and thank you for all the folks who've been working towards it. I do endorse the comment that came that we should have the capacity building initiatives as a separate section in the document. While my comment is on two different aspects, one on the structure side of it, while there are many capacity building initiatives, and my journey with IG started with one of those, I think they're still too fragmented, and there's a lot of complexity to the structure. For newcomers, it can be a lot overwhelming, and if there was a way we could streamline or make each of them talk to each other so that it would all lead to the bigger, because ultimately the goal is to make it a community as big as possible, to assimilate our thoughts. So that is something we could probably look at working on. On the other side, it's about when we come to the synthesis document, as he mentioned clearly, that while it is something that goes to the UN and it sort of puts our thoughts together, and Maureen very well said that it is also serves as a document for all of us here and the ones who are not here to understand what actually happened. So I highly recommend if there was a way we could break it up or have two versions, a formal one which retains all the things that are more important and to be stated in a particular way or written in a particular way to be used in a formal environment, but also a more simplified, easy to understand, easy to use, more accessible version that could be used for a lot of those capacity building initiatives, can be spread in different ways to different people, to a lot of participants who could not be here, who may not be here for a few more events like that. So it will, everything that we do here will talk back to a lot of these youth initiatives, to a lot of the young kids here who might not understand what exactly has been spoken, but if the information can be broken down, and lastly, if it is available in an ongoing basis, while the document's here and it will always remain on this microsite forever, it's likely that after the event is over or after the document is drafted and it moves to IGF, most of us will not go back to look at what happened at APrIGF Bangkok or APrIGF Taipei. But I think if there is a particular portal or digital or otherwise in a publication sort of sense, where everything that we discuss is recorded in a more user-friendly manner, not just for people who are participating, but to encourage more people to participate and to also take the word out, because ultimately, when we are deciding or discussing things about internet governance here, we're all working towards the end user, which includes all of us as consumers of internet. And if we don't understand what's happening and why and who's making these decisions, I mean, all the things we do here probably serve no purpose. So I guess that, I have spoken about a couple of different things, and I will comment each one individually as well. But yeah, I'd just like everybody, including the young people especially, YIGF and APrIGF, APsig, and all the other fellows, to think of how we can make it a lot more accessible for our generation. Because yes, we may not be able to fully understand these documents yet in terms of our capacity, our education levels, language skills, etc. So we use Facebook, Slack, etc., a lot of these platforms in a more user-friendly way, and how can we use those technologies to make this a more friendlier platform? Thank you.
Thank you, Millie. That's fantastic. Yes, we've just been given a little note that we've got 0 minutes left. So we do have to wrap up for this evening's town hall session. Thank you very much for your contributions. But don't forget, get online. If there was something that really sort of like stuck in your mind today, please make a comment. Doesn't have to be sort of like, mega, just some sort of comment that actually might trigger off a conversation with other people who might see it and want to add to it. Got anything else to add?
Okay.
Well, I guess we
As
should
you
let the
already
minister
showed the paragraph 16. There are a few comments already there. Maybe you can refresh the screen. So
Paragraph 16.
I think, yeah, that one. On the digital economy and enable, yeah, there are 3 comments already submitted by Ku and me. So So I want to clarify, because that coming from the meeting, we discussed a lot about multi-stakeholder approach for government in developing the policy related to the electronic authentication, electronic signatures. There are some technical limitations that lead to also the user experience. It needs to write up more. I just note the key concept, because from the workshop, only focus on the trust, but from the workshop, there are different perspectives coming from communities. And the other thing on the open statement on digital economy and trades, I put in a bracket. I read the workshop 29. There are not the words on trades, and this is very sensitive for the communities, I think, because the world is leading to using a trade. And there is a E-Trade for All initiative that run by UNCTAD. And the community have to understand what the meaning of trades and commerce. Commerce seems to be more for the small SMEs, micro SMEs, and when you talk about trade, it's binding with the corporation that are big muscle. You talk about trade, the corporation, the multilateral, multinational corporation. So I think we have to consider the word trade, whether it should be commerce, because as long as it still exists. But if you move away from commerce and go to trade, it's in the hand of UNCTAD that try to push E-Trade for All initiative to replace the whole e-commerce. And that is, you have to see the trade facilitation agreement proposed by UNCTAD, and as you're aware, the big muscle like Jack Ma even mentioned that e-commerce will never exist because he already worked on the E-Trade for All initiative. The EWTP, Electronic World Trade Platform, launched in Malaysia. It's expressed the new rules in the commerce, which should be considered the communities, and that the viewpoint of government, and maybe we can discuss more during the workshop on Saturday. We have the workshop on that as well. But I think for me, I think it's too early to state that it's a trade, digital economy and trades. So that's why I put the bracket of commerce, whether we accept it.
Thank you, Anamit.
Wanawit from government.
Thank you very much, Anamit. And this is precisely what we're hoping to get people thinking about and actually putting in comments as we're in the town hall session. You put it in, you stand up, you want to talk about it a little more. And another thing I want to point out is the text here is placeholder text just specifically to provoke you to think about these things, to think about, do I agree with this? Is this what's being really said? Do I want to state it in a different manner? I want to encourage everybody, and especially pointing out what Millie said earlier about how to get more capacity building from the youth. If you want to see the document in a different text, if you want to see it in simpler text, please go ahead and put in the comment what you hope to see or how you would think this should be rephrased to actually appeal to or speak to your generation. Lastly, I want to remind everybody that there is a census document town hall session tomorrow at the same time from 5 to 6 in the same room. I hope to see everybody here, more people here, more comments, and more input. And there's some logistical announcements I have to make. There is a social happening after this, and the volunteers will guide you to where it's going to be. Also from the Secretariat to please RSVP for the closing social, and the Secretariat will be sending an email to all participants on how to do that. So,
and volunteers for the drafting committee, come on. Before you go, you can come up here, we'll get your names down in your email, yeah? Please, it's gonna be fun.
It's okay, I've got your names
Work,
here
but
already.
fun.
I've assigned you to a group. Anyone who got up and spoke, you're in a group. Okay, see you tomorrow, bye.
Bye.
Can't get away.
Goody. We got a volunteer.
Oh,
Yes,
good
yes,
on you,
yes, yes.
Michael.